We have Counselor Morton joining us, and Carly and Amy museum staff here as well. Welcome. And if you've had a chance to review minutes from not last month, but the month before, Amy, thank you again for taking minutes, and thank you for doing it again this meeting. And do we need a minute to look these over? They were attached on the agenda from the city. John is usually the one who finds something, so.
No, nothing here.
Nothing here. My husband just turned on the news in the background. Is that coming through? Okay, good. It closed the door if it was. Jasper looks pensive. Or are you just reading?
I'm taking a peek at the minutes, but I put total faith in you and John. Yeah, they look good to me.
Okay, would someone like to make a motion to accept the minutes?
Well, I'll move that you accept the minutes.
Thanks, John. Second?
Sure.
Thank you. Jasper, second. All in favor?
Aye.
We don't have any visitors this evening. Unfinished business, museum closure update. Anything new, Carly or Amy, on that?
So we're pretty much in the same boat that we were before. We've kept that on there just to give an opportunity for everyone to ask questions if things come up again. But we are still closed. We are going to be closed for the foreseeable future, most likely until we're in the new location. And as it is right now, we've pretty much boxed up, well, Amy's boxed up a large chunk of the stuff that's on exhibit. So even if people came to visit, there wouldn't be much to see. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. Does anyone have any questions about that?
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, thank you for carrying on, and Amy for all the packing, and Carly, all the research and online and grant things you've been working on. Thank you. Anything on the new site?
So where we're at with the new site right now is that like the layout and whatnot has been finalized. It's the same version that you guys saw in our last meeting that are included in the minutes. That's what we're going with. We're at the point where they're putting together all the technical drawings, like with electrical and all of that stuff. But we're set to be completed with those by the end of the month, to eventually, I guess, like after that step, go out to bid. So everything's on time. We're on schedule. Things are good. This is just the really technical portion of the process. And I will update you guys with more information as we have more.
Did I hear you say that those plans were included in the minutes?
Or we showed it as part of the,
okay. But not from last, okay, because I didn't see as an attachment with the city. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing a page. Okay.
Yeah, Jasper's got it.
Now, Jasper, where did you find that?
No, previous meetings, I guess.
I think that's from the original, like when I first printed them out and mailed them to everybody. The one
Okay,
the
okay,
letter that I'm talking about is literally just the one we shared on the screen last time.
okay, okay. So what Jasper had is like one of the others, but there's a combined one that, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we had two different versions we were looking at.
Yeah, I didn't know if the combined one had been attached to the city's minutes somewhere. Okay. Okay.
Looks great.
Um, Grant updates.
So really exciting news. I know that I included in our last email that we got that we did receive the $8,000 grant through Bergen Parks to help fund shelving and just collection storage. So I did send that out to everybody via email. But between then and now, the Heritage Society applied, like I as well in joint conjunction with the society, applied for a COVID response grant through Oregon Community Foundation. Normally we would apply for a small arts and culture grant through them, but in response to COVID, they rolled a lot of the smaller grants that they normally give out into one larger pool. And so you would just apply with one kind of generic application explaining like how you've been affected by COVID, how you would use this funding, and then they would just kind of almost shop it around to different funders. So I filled one out specifically just making the argument that the society is not really able to fundraise and meet kind of the financial goals that they had originally kind of pitched the city on fundraising, especially dealing with the new building and helping support financially with that. And so I pitched that they weren't be able to do it. And so this funding would be used towards helping with the construction costs, helping to outfit things that like we don't necessarily have in the budget. So like tables and chairs and just the random stuff that that would have normally been funded by them. So we were successful in getting it. We got $4,000, which is really good. I'm really, really happy with that. I was kind of concerned that we might not have been on the top of the list for priorities with that. So I do appreciate that they helped us out.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you, and thanks to the society for completing that application to put that forward. Loan of items from Gentle House.
Okay, so
Harvey again.
this was a Carly and Amy one, I promise.
Yeah.
So we were contacted by family of the Gentle House in Western Oregon University, and they have a historic house museum in the upper floors of that building that the college has been using as an event space and like a wedding venue. The school has decided that they are no longer going to operate it like that. They're not 100%, like it hasn't been 100% announced on what exactly they're going to do with it, but it's been talked about renting it out to a business. Like it's not going to exist in its current form. And so as a result, they're going to have to remove the historic house museum and the contents from the upper floors. It is a beautiful collection. It's set up like the upper floors of their house. It's wonderful. And they contacted us because they're trying to figure out what the next home of that collection is going to be. So I toured it, and then Amy went back and toured it last week. And so I'm going to turn it over to her at this point.
Yeah. So I was able to go on a tour of the upstairs as well and get some information on what's available or what may be available to our museum and why it needs to be loaned. And part of their collection is going to actually remain downstairs, and the university will continue to hold events down there. So some of the things tied to the school will still be there, which is great. Some of the items are going to go onto the campus in the education building, since Thomas Gentle was tied to the education department, which is great. And Polk County is going to get a tour as well and get a share of what's available upstairs. So the reason that they want the items to be on loan is because due to the university's contract with the family ending in 2033, the family still has hopes that at that point in 2033, the collection can be reunited and displayed in a different format, maybe in the same location or a different location. But in the interim time between now and 2033, they'd like the other museums in the area to help display the Gentle collection. So that is where we come in, because there is a portion of the collection that Carly and I both got to put our eyes on, and we think it would be great for the museum. But of course, we needed to bring it to you as the board to discuss your thoughts on whether or not you think that that would be appropriate for our Heritage Museum.
I had a couple of questions. The amount of space it would take up, would we be displaying it initially or rotating it in and out, things being in storage?
Yeah, so we specifically talked to the Gentle family about the fact that no large items would be able to be moved to our location. So furniture, organs, beds, dressers, things like that, that we would be more interested in items that tell the more personal stories. So, and archive items, so clothing, books, toys, and then we would create context and put an exhibit together that tells the story of the Gentles and how they were a part of WU and farming and book clubs and the different ways that their family was tied into the community. So it would be all small items. And the Gentles have also been told that we would be rotating their collection items, so they are not expected to remain on display.
Okay. Great, sounds like you really covered the bases. So then would the assumption be that maybe Polk County would be looking at the loan for some of the larger
So
items?
Carly, I don't know if you know more than I do about it. They did say that we got to look at it first. So they have the list of the things that Carly and I expressed interest in. And then Polk County will come in later this month. They'll get to look. And if there's any overlap, if board approves that we should move forward, we'll go ahead and discuss how to balance the things that we overlapped on.
I think the most important part is the relationship building even more than the stuff. So yeah, I feel like we should say yes, at least to the relationship building, and whatever stuff comes out of it, you know, I'm fine with. But I think it is a good relationship connection.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's a really good point about we've talked a lot about building a relationship with WU, and I think that's a good way to go about that. And, community, important community members.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts or discussion?
I couldn't hear very well what Jasper was saying, but I think from what you recapped, I would agree with that.
And Amy kind of touched on this a little bit, but like tying back into Vicky's question about items that aren't selected for us to take on. Polk County will look and evaluate and kind of explain which ones they're interested in, but stuff that isn't selected by either of us, it's a combination of the family will take it into their own collection. It'll be put on storage. Like it's going to be kept someplace. So it's not like us saying we aren't interested in this is that it's going to go away permanently.
Okay. And there isn't a contingency, well, you can't have the small things if you're not willing to take the big thing. I mean, off the top of my head. So
both Amy and I were very upfront about the fact that like we think that this is really important. We want to assist, we want to help maintain the context, and we want to bring more attention to it. But we also have to be realistic about what we can handle and what our space can handle. And so we had a really good conversation with Madeline about that specifically. But I think I'm really excited about this. I think we don't have a ton of stuff that's from like the educator perspective in the collection. We have a lot of like materials and a lot of like picture, like photos and whatnot, but we don't have a lot of stuff coming from staff, especially an early staff member like Thomas Gentle.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting because with Monmouth just being, our neighbor over there, and I mean, I'm here because I went to Monmouth and went to school. So there's a lot of connectedness, I think, between the two communities based on the college that's there. So I think this is a great opportunity.
I mean, it sounds like we're kind of all on the same page, but just to put one more positive plug in, I really liked Thomas Gentle's, actually, a lot of his items will go into the education department. They're going to create a safe display there, but a lot of his wife's things will be coming over, and that female perspective from the early last century is going to be able to be told in our museum in a way that it isn't being told right now, which I think is really exciting.
Oh, that's great.
We've got a painting that she's done in, we don't have these things, they could still go to Polk, but the things that we showed interest in would be her clothes, her art supplies. And then she was instrumental in the start of the book club, women's book club that's still functioning. So I think they have records from 1907.
So she was
Wow.
part of the, okay. And although they don't read books anymore, I was told by members, they still do presentations, and they were going to have me do a genealogy presentation for them. So it's still an active group.
Yep.
Awesome. So what we're looking for from you guys right now is we need the approval to move forward, because again, this is a loan. That was the other thing that like I know Amy and I were both kind of hesitant about, because it can just get really complicated after a while with loaned items. But we felt like this situation, it made more sense for it to be a loan, like a longer term loan. So what we're looking for from you guys is the okay to go ahead and to move forward with kind of selecting which items from that collection are appropriate for the Heritage Museum's collection.
And I was going to suggest, Carly, if this fits with what you're talking about, that we just make a motion so we've got something recorded in the minutes that we are interested in doing that. I also thought too that it's not that it's like, okay, we're going to loan this for a while. There's time parameters with it, and it sounds like it's going to be set up in a very logical and concise way, not just, oh, we'll drop this off and we'll come get it sometime, and with other kinds of contingencies on it. So
yeah, and the Gentle family's been managing this collection since 1983, and so from their perspective, if it's on display here, they want to help maintain it, they want to help create a safe display, so they'll be involved too.
Oh, good. And it isn't just like we were going through someone's attic and we want to drop things off. So it's things that have been displayed and are in good shape and able to be presented. So I think it sounds great.
Did you say it was until 2033? Or?
Yeah, 2033 is when the contract with Wu changes with the building. But it doesn't necessarily mean that their collection will be able to be reunited at that point, but it's when they would definitely want to reevaluate.
Is that the 100th anniversary of the collection? Did you say they've had it since 1933?
The arrangement was agreed to in 1983. They had a 50-year.
Oh, okay.
So would someone like to make a motion?
Motion, yes, that's. I can't since I'm the chair, so sorry.
I move to approve.
Second, I'll meet you.
Okay. So Amy, if you would be willing to write that up into language expressing our desire to approve the acceptance of the collection of items that you and Carly see fit. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you.
And if there's some way to just add note of gratitude for them thinking of us and reaching out to us.
Perfect.
Carly, would you want the board to do that? Do you or Amy?
We can give her a letter of
Okay,
of thanks and appreciation. If anything, we'll either do it right now or we'll do it after all the loan paperwork has been
Okay.
finalized as part of the notification.
okay. Okay, and on our agenda, we have the manager report. Is there anything we haven't gotten to yet?
I do have one extra thing that Marilyn brought up in the chat. And so she asked, is there any kind of online fundraising going on? If somebody wanted to donate, how would they do it? Can they direct the money, i.e. this donation is for collections or object preservation, etc.? So the society has kind of put a large portion of their fundraising on pause. They still have the online donation button through PayPal on the orheritage.org website. That is more of a generic button to like go to general fund for them. But if they contact OR Heritage at ci.independence.or.us or pretty much any of our contact emails related to the museum, I can make sure that that information is passed on to the society so that it can be earmarked in the way that they might be interested in. And then it's also important to note that Oregon Cultural Trust, OCT, that the society did become affiliated with them. So there are some tax benefits related to any donation that you make through them. I'm not 100% sure of all those specific details, but I do know that it's related to that, and you can go to their website and check that out.
That's good to know, because I know that's something that's kind of been in the offing for a long time, and there was an assumption way back when that there was a connection, then discovered there wasn't. So glad to hear that. If we're on to the society update, is there more from the manager?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm going to actually switch it over to Amy because I need to add a curator's point to our agenda, like our monthly agenda. I just, for some reason, it keeps leaving my mind. I'm so Amy.
Madam Curator.
Actually, this is about another donation that we need to seek approval from you guys on. So in the new location, we're going to be putting up an industry exhibit. I think we've discussed, and it's going to be tied around the Holt family collection that was donated recently.
Right.
And the Holt family has contacted me this week to mention that they also have some bolts and foundry molds that would be valuable in the display to go along with the images and blueprints and things like that we have. So
Oh, sorry. Did you say books or bolts?
Bolts, like metal.
Okay, gotcha.
Items built by the Holt Foundry.
Okay.
A Bolt Club. Yeah.
So I wanted to run, I don't have photos, but I thought these things are relatively small and go with an exhibit we already had planned. So I wanted to just go ahead and push it out to you now. And if you'd rather wait till next month, let me know. But if you're comfortable that I will accept things that make sense, then I would push forward with the Holts.
That makes perfect sense to me. And Amy, you have such a good sense of what's appropriate, what's not, that I think that we should just, do we even need a motion for that?
Because we do have the moratorium, we should just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll move that we accept it and go with Amy's vision.
Thank you, John.
I'll second.
Thanks, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I-
Jasper, I'm sorry, did I cut you off for discussion before we took a vote?
No, I was wanting discussion after the vote.
Oh, okay.
But maybe in the future, since our space situation has changed, my impression was the moratorium was really around our situation at the church. And I don't know if we need to or want to revisit it, but we could just kind of have a more flexible policy, allowing more discretion for the manager and curator to make those decisions.
And one of the issues with our, I'm sorry,
I'd be comfortable with that if that's what we
Okay.
want to do or not.
and another issue with, because this came about before the current people were in charge of the museum. I think that a loosening of those boundaries would be appropriate, Jasper.
Yeah, we're in a different situation
We are, yeah,
than when that was originally adopted.
yes.
Well, we have a collection policy now, so we have that to kind of fall back on. So yeah, no, I will. We can put it on the agenda for the next meeting
Okay.
to talk about that, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, I think that would be great. It's wonderful to hear about what new things might be coming. So we can cover this in the discussion, but it would be great to continue to hear about what might be forthcoming for us.
And as we just move closer to the new space, I just want you guys to have the flexibility to make decisions and not feel like you're going to be.
That makes total sense, Jasper.
Policy that we have, so.
Yeah, and it's good to go back and remind ourselves of what led us to having the moratorium in the first place, and that it was never intended to be forever. So
We don't want it to get in the way of the exciting things you guys will be doing in the future.
yeah.
Before we move on to the next thing, I do want to circle back to the Holt collection really quick and give a shout out to the library, specifically Ariana at the library. She has been helping us out with scanning and basically digitizing all of those blueprints, all of the paperwork, and it's been wonderful to work with her, and we're really appreciative of the help that her and the library have been giving us.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. I had one question about the Holt family and about Holt. In trying to do some research and finding, have come across 2 Holt manufacturing companies, and you've run into that as well, I assume. So, and it's sort of hard to know which is ours and which is the other one, because it seems like the other one was more connected to the Caterpillar company. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay.
There's the larger Holt company.
The which one?
There was a larger Holt company.
large, okay.
That was tied to Caterpillar. And
Okay.
our Holt family was our local business, and they contracted to those businesses
Okay.
to make parts.
Okay.
So
And they both have the same name, but they are 2 distinct. Okay, I wanted to make sure that what I was finding was correct and it wasn't just too late at night and I was getting confused.
no, you are right on.
Okay, thank you. Any other Holt business? Any other curator or museum manager or society updates?
The society hasn't really, they've been emailing to keep in touch.
Okay.
Most of the emails have actually been around the new website that they're providing us, and I've been working with the new provider for that to put that together. So that should be coming out in the next month or so. It's going to look pretty much identical to the website that we have right now. It was really more of a cost saving measure for them.
Yeah, because that's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, and honestly, our website, it currently has all the functionality that we really need it to, and the new provider will allow us to kind of expand and contract based on what we need at the moment. It's just going to give us a lot more flexibility. So don't be alarmed if the website only looks slightly different after all of this time. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I thought it was a great website. It was just a crazy cost when they weren't, the existing company really wasn't having to do a lot to maintain it, except kind of collect the money. Yeah. So, and they still have a full board. I know with recent changes downtown, I wasn't sure if they still have their.
As of right now, they do. Again, they haven't really met recently. It's just been some.
Oh, sure.
But as of right now, it seems like everything's the same.
Okay. I did have another discussion item that I wanted to bring up. And I want to preface it with Amy and Carly, don't freak out. But because I'm on the IDA board and Hopin Heritage is coming up. And in the past, the museum has provided pictures for the heritage part of that. And in years past, before last year when Carly and Amy were here, I had gone and put up the small pictures around. And then last year, Carly, you had some larger ones. We're obviously having to reconfigure how we're going to do Hopin Heritage because it can't be what it's been before. And we're looking at like purchasing of 6-packs of, containers of beer or something, but also trying to involve other businesses that might have a coupon to put in or something like that. It's still in some initial stages. But with the permission of the staff, and I made it very clear to them that you guys are under mega stress. Most of them have gotten that point, but that I would be willing, if it was okay for me to come in to get some of those pictures and to put them on. They thought maybe this year, since they can't do so much of the other things, that it would be a good year to highlight heritage with the pictures. So think about that. And
I think that's great. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more thinking just because the pictures from last year didn't all necessarily survive in the best condition. So I'm not sure if we can do it in probably the same manner. But I have some ideas in the back of my head that Amy and I'll talk about, and we'll kind of mull over.
And once again, I really stress to them that you guys are under pressure to move, but at the same time, we want people to know that the museum still is there and it will be bigger and better. And so maybe at some point I can get with both of you, and but I didn't want to put any undue pressure on you.
No, I appreciate that. No, I have some ideas that could be like dual marketing to kind of let people, like maybe a flyer or something with some like hop information, like really.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But then also talking about, because that wouldn't be too complicated to put together, but then also possibly including like information about how like we're still here, we're moving, like that would be awesome. And that would be something that could be, if I have what you're talking about correct, something we could put in the little bag or the 6-pack or whatever we're doing. Okay, great. And we're having a general membership meeting tomorrow morning. I will, before or after, talk to Kate and let her know about that. And we're going to be having some Hopin Heritage meetings upcoming soon. So thank you very much. And just so you're not alarmed, Kate also sent me the invite to that today. So
okay.
I will probably also be there as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I wanted to make sure that you weren't, feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm getting volunteered. And
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we've had some discussions, so there's more clarity about what the expectation from the museum might be by some people.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion or information items?
I had a question about the website, if that's possible.
Yeah.
I was wondering, with the new website, might there be a possibility of like a future functionality of some kind of like link or portal or some way that people could share audio or video stories with us through the website?
That is definitely in our long range plans. It's not really where we're at right now. But that is something that in my next conversation with our developer, I can see what that would involve. The difference between the website this time around versus before is that this time we have way more control over the back end and how it like we can really mess around with it. So honestly, a lot of it might come down to like me watching YouTube videos and figuring out how we can add stuff. But you know what? I'm all here for learning new skills.
Sounds great. Anything else? It's nice to see you guys, even though it's not in person, but
Yeah, it's nice to see all you
except
too.
for John and Marilyn, we can't see, but glad you're here.
Jason,
Okay, thanks
And
anyway.
And thank you, Jason. Jason made a note in the chat that he's here to help too. And I do appreciate that. And I
Right.
reach out to you for help on that.
Yes, thank you, Jason.
Oh, we get to hear and see Maryland's grandkids.
Anything else? Okay, then I guess at 6:06, boy, this is record time. We are adjourned.